Hey guys, it's Anastasia, and today I'm reading from my car because that's just what life looks like sometimes. So today I'm reading Matthew 26, verses 1 through 16. Now it came to pass when Jesus had finished all these sayings that he said to his disciples, "You know that after 2 days is the Passover, and the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified." Then the chief priests, the scribes, and the elders of the people assembled at the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and plotted to take Jesus by trickery and kill him. But they said, "Not during the feast, lest there be an uproar among the people." And when Jesus was in Bethany at the house of Simon the leper, a woman came to him having an alabaster flask of very costly fragrant oil, and she poured it on his head as he sat at the table. But when his disciples saw it, they were indignant, saying, "Why this waste? For this fragrant oil might have been sold for much and given to the poor." But when Jesus was aware of it, he said to them, "Why do you trouble the woman? For she has done good work for me. For you have the poor with you always, but me you do not have always. For in pouring this fragrant oil on my body, she did it for my burial. Assuredly, I say to you, wherever this gospel is preached in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be told as a memorial to her." Then one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priest and said, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him to you?" And they counted out to him 30 pieces of silver. So from that time, he saw opportunity to betray him. So one of the really interesting things about this passage is that the religious leaders that it talks about, the scribes, the chief priest, are the people who should have recognized Jesus as their Messiah, but not only they didn't recognize him, they were the ones to arrange his death, which it kind of talks about at the very end. Like, that's why Judas goes to the chief priest, because they already had it arranged. And Judas, who was a follower of Jesus, is actually one of the people who went to them, and he was like, "Hey, like, how much money would you give me if I help you with this?" So it's just really interesting that the religious leaders, the people who were trying to keep rules, who were trying to earn their salvation and do all the right things, those aren't the people that Jesus really cared about in the end. He was in the home of a leper. He was interacting with a woman who, if the religious leaders would have looked at her, they would have had her in a much lower social status. So Jesus was surrounding himself with the very people that the religious leaders, other people, would have considered unclean. But these were the people that God chose to reveal himself to and to honor for their faith. And it's just crazy to see that at the end of the passage, it's one of Jesus's own followers who ends up betraying him. But it was all part of God's plan. The whole time, like, Jesus knew that that's how things were going to play out. And the Easter story is just proof that the darkest, hardest days, sometimes the worst circumstances, is just evidence that God is always working, and he will eventually use all circumstances, all things that happen in our life, for good. So even though one of Jesus's followers betrayed him, that ended up being used for good and being used as a part of the story of Jesus. If that wouldn't have happened, then who knows how it would have played out. So that is just your reminder of part of what the Easter story means, and that God just meets us where we are. And to him, there's no social status, there's no clean or unclean. He just wants us to come to him as we are.